This introduces for us one of the most profound aspects of all of our very existence, which is this notion of agency and accountability. What he's doing here, for those of you who aren't very interested in politics or aren't really into the government kinds of things, like it or not, this is a part of our entire existence, our life, going clear back to heaven. Satan's attack was seeking to destroy the agency of man. He's trying to overthrow, he's trying to get people to vote or to change the way they see God and shift their focus to himself. It's everything in leadership, everything in kingship is either trying to emulate the devil to one degree or another, or trying to emulate the Savior to one degree or another. And there's no perfect analogy. But the point is, righteous kings act like Christ. Unrighteous kings act like the devil. And the devil takes agency from the people and takes it to himself. Christ gives more. What is a synonym for for agency? Liberty, freedom. And he gives it out to the people to be able to make choices, but that then they have to be accountable for them. This is clearly laid out here. Now look at verse 38. Therefore, they relinquished their desire for a king and became exceedingly anxious that every man should have an equal chance throughout all the land. Yea, and every man expressed a willingness to answer for his own sins. One of Satan's lies and one of his greatest deceptions is that freedom is the ability to just do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want, and with whomever you want. That's freedom. That's liberty. But he'll never tell you about the accountability that's attached to those choices, because that's how he binds us. That's how he actually takes away our agency. And so we live in a world that says things like, we don't need organized religion, we don't need laws, we don't need commandments. God isn't doing things. Just eat, drink, and be merry. Let's live it up. That's freedom. If you want to talk about freedom, go interview people who were in maximum security prison and ask them what it was like to enjoy that do whatever you want mentality. And now, how much freedom do you have? Elder D. Todd Christofferson wrote a great article years ago in the Ensign called Moral Agency. And in there, he has a really profound statement. He says, if you want more freedom, if you want more agency, if you want more liberty, learn as many of God's laws as you can and keep them. That's how you get more freedom. Jesus is the ultimate example of freedom, of power, of agency. All of these things that people seek, and yet they seek it in the wrong direction. Follow Christ, and what you'll do is keep to the best of your ability as many of God's laws as you can, which leads to more and more freedom. And you're not afraid of the accountability aspect. So here's this grand shift. We're no longer going to have a king telling you what to do. You're going to tell the government what to do in this context, which in the U.S., people get so concerned about who's in the White House. And if we're not careful, we'll be more concerned about who's in the White House than who's in my house. And the reality is, brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter where you live in the world. It doesn't matter what form of government you live under. As members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we're taught to be law-abiding, peacekeeping, wherever possible, citizens who contribute to our societies. And it matters far less, in a U.S. context, it matters far less who's in the White House than who's in my house, and the connections that my house is making to God in this context. To say, I'm going to see God as my king, and I don't have to wonder if he's going to win the election this year in my house. Because as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now, that doesn't mean we ignore government and our civic responsibilities. If King Mosiah were here, I think he would look at us and say, get involved. Let your voice be heard. If you live in a country or in a society where you have the capacity to vote, vote. Be involved in peaceful, reasonable, meaningful ways in your government.